Hello everyone. So today we're going to be taking a look at this 2014 Audi A7 S-Line. Special thanks to McGinley Motors, Mazda, Land Rover, Peugeot and Volvo for allowing me to come down here and review this car for you guys today. For all contact information in regards to this dealership, please see the description box below. So in today's review, we'll be taking a look at the interior of the car, explain all the features work, we'll also start up, look at the engine, go over the performance data, take a look around the exterior and take the car in a detailed test drive. So we're just going to power on the car first and take a look around the exterior. So the A7 has 4 frameless windows. And I'll just close the door when getting in, because unfortunately if you turn on the engine, this car with the door open, it makes a very annoying beeping sound. So we'll just leave the key here in the center console, and as soon as you turn on the power, the exterior mirrors fold out and the screen pops up. So we'll just press the foot brake and the engine fires up. So we'll power on the hazards as well as the headlights and the rear fog lamps, and all 4 windows in this car are fully automatic. Okay, so this particular 2014 A7 is an S-Line model. Now the S-Lines are very popular with Audis. A lot of people do tend to buy S-Line models, probably over even the most basic SE models. And this particular example is finished here in Floret Silver. It has the automatic xenon projector head, LED running daylights. I should also mention this here is the pre-facelifted version of the A7. The newer one now has LED headlights and LED taillights and a few other little updates here and there. This one's also sitting in the 19-inch split 5-spoke alloy wheels with ventilated steel disc brakes in the front and solid discs in the rear. And this car also has 4-wheel independent suspension all round. You've got your LED indicators on the exterior mirrors, as well as the signature S-Line badging. Now the A7 is one of the Audis that I actually do really like a lot. I really love this overall kind of Grand Coupe kind of style. As you can see, it slopes down towards the rear, just like the A5 Sportback. As a matter of fact, this car is very much like the A5 Sportback, only it's kind of a bit more expensive, a bit bigger, and it also has a deployable boot spoiler, which I'm going to show you guys in just a moment. And coming around to the rear, you can see the dual exhausts. And you can just see where the spoiler sits in the car. Sits down very nicely. If you stand back, you wouldn't even know there's a spoiler in this car. It just has very clean, swooping lines. And of course, this car has Audi's Quattro all-wheel drive system, as well as an electronic hatchback. And it opens quite wide. And the boot space itself measures in at 535 litres. Loads of space back here, and you also have a space saver wheel under the boot floor as well. Now I just come around to the back seat. The rear seats themselves fold in a split 60-40, just like that. And coming towards the boot again, you can see the seats go down completely flat, so you have loads of luggage space back here now. And then you just hit the button here to close down the hatch. Okay, so coming into the back of the A7, there's a good bit of legroom back here. I have certainly no complaints there. And even though this car has a sporty sloping roofline, which usually compromises headroom, it's actually not too bad. I have a decent amount of headspace back here. You also have a center-mounted armrest, quite big in size, and underneath we have this first aid kit. Although if you remove that, you have a storage area. You could always move this in towards the boot. And this particular S-Line model has the half leather and half perforated Alcantara seats, which are very, very soft and comfortable. There is one complaint I do have. This rear window. That's it. Doesn't go down all the way into the door like you would want and like most cars do. It stops right here, and it's, you know, not really that great. So I don't know why that is. I think they could have designed the door a bit better so it could take all the window. But one thing that this car does have, I don't know how well you can see it from that angle, but in the doors there's a tiny little ashtray as well. And there's actually just one thing I want to show you from inside the car right now with the camera. So I wanted to show you is this center seat. Now this car is a 5-seater. They sell this one. You even have your third seat belt here in the middle. However, the transmission tunnel bulges up quite a lot, and also the center console comes back quite a bit. Now the center console itself has ventilation and storage and a 12-volt power outlet. The other problem though is you'll notice here on the roof we have two cutouts on the left and right side, so the left and right passengers have loads of headspace, but you'll notice this center bit here comes down a bit. So looking at the center seat here, it's hard to see how anybody in the middle seat could have any legroom at all. I don't even know if you could afford to rob any room from the passengers, because as you can see, there really isn't much room to take. And even if you did manage to get your legs in there, you really wouldn't have much headroom because of this piece that comes down. So I'm really not sure who could sit here. It's probably best suited maybe for a child seat. If you have a baby, they could sit in the child seat in this particular seat, but I honestly couldn't imagine anybody sitting in that middle seat comfortably. While I have the camera back here, I can also show you that there is these netted pockets on the back of each front seat, and you can also just see the little ashtray I was talking about as well. You also got this Alcantara on the door cards too. And so I just got the rear spoiler up there. Now I should mention, when the spoiler is down, it will go up itself automatically at 130 kilometers per hour, just to give the car extra downforce and stability at higher speeds. But overall, I think the A7 is a very good looking car. I certainly really like this design they've done with it. I think this car came out in 2011, and as I said, they have facelifted it since, so it's got a bit of an update. And it's a good looking car from the front as well. So let's hop in inside and take a look at some of the interior features. For example, you've got a full electric driver's seat with the S-Line logo on the sill, and you can see what I mean about that very irritating beeping every time you open the door. So let's put the windows up and headlights back into automatic. Okay, so this car has 29,011 kilometers on the clock so far, so it's not bad, I suppose, for a 3-year-old diesel Audi. And the interior of this car is very, very familiar, very typical Audi inside here. You also have this 3-spoke leather-wrapped multifunction steering wheel with electric rack and pinion power assist, very smooth and good tight feedback. And you also got the left and right sides of the steering wheel perforated. And then you got all your typical controls for the truck computer located off to the left, and then you got your voice command controls as well as your navigation shortcut control located off to the right, and the volume controls. And then you have this little button here marked by this little snowflake. I actually just have it pulled up here in the car's MMI system, so you can customize that button to do any of these things here. So at the moment it's set for the voice guidance, but you can also set it for skipping forwards with your music, switching the radio stations, traffic programming, and changing the navigation map color from daytime to nighttime. So you just got one little customizable button on the steering wheel there, always handy to have, I suppose. And you also got the S-Line logo located at the bottom of the wheel as well. And other things, you have the cruise control stock located just down here. And on the doors we got this very nice matte aluminium finish, which is standard on the A7. As you can see, it tapers off around the dashboard there and comes along down here where you find the Quattro badge. And also on the door, of course, you got your central locking, but you also have your two-person memory settings for the driver's seat located there as well, and your power folding mirror controls. And also you got a little button located just right there for the electronic boot release. This particular A7 also has the digital heads-up display, which you can probably see there. And there's a little control for that located down here. So if you press it, it turns on and off the heads-up display, but if you twist it, you can actually adjust the height of the digital heads-up display. So I'll see if I can demonstrate that. As you can see, it just raises and lowers there, and you can turn it on and off. So coming in here to the center console, you got your typical screen, but you also have a button here for folding away the screen if you wish. So always handy to have that. It just means that when you're driving along, the screen isn't there in your peripheral vision. But we'll just put it back up. So I've used this a few times before in a bunch of different Audis. You got all your controls for it located down here. You got your 4-quadrant switches, you got your main wheel, your back or return button, and your menu button. And it's very simple and easy to use, so you can go through all your different menus from the car, telephone, your general information for it. If you go into the navigation, we can look at the map if we press the bottom left button. Now the map is good enough in size. I suppose maybe the screen could be a little bit bigger for the map. That's the only thing I'll say about it. And if we go back here, you can go between your media. You also got your radio stations, and you can also go into tone here to set up the treble, bass, subwoofer, balance, and so on. And as you can see, you got your additional functions located off to the top and bottom parts of the screen, and you got, of course, your corresponding buttons located down here for all that stuff. So actually, if we just crank up the volume, so pretty good sound quality from the standard Audi sound system, certainly nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of things to go through in the MMI system. If I actually press the top right button there, you can go through your menu languages, measurement units, display brightness, factory settings, system update, and so on. There's a lot of features and functions in here as well. You also got a few shortcut controls, for example the navigation, telephone, radio and media shortcut controls if you wish to access them from there. And then you also got your little touchpad here for your preset stations. You have the electronic parking brake, as well as the auto hold feature, the main volume control for the radio, as well as the engine start stop button. And this center stack here has just a little bit of a gloss black finish going around it as well, just to brighten it up a little bit. And this car also has Audi's 7-speed S-Tronic gearbox, and when you're in drive, knock it over to the left, you can change gears manually, although you can get the option for paddle shifters mounted on the back of the steering wheel, but this car doesn't have that option. You also got your cigarette lighter and ashtray down here, and we got a few other bits and pieces down here. So you got the CD player, your 2 SD card slots. I believe this one here is for the satellite navigation. You also got your engine start stop. The car can also parallel park itself using this button here. You got your parking sensor control, your button for the rear spoiler, as well as the traction control located here. And then you got all your dual zone climate controls located down there. And this car has 3-stage heated front seats, just 3 red LED lights there. So overall, I think Audi's MMI system is very nice and very easy to use. I've never personally had any trouble with it before. Quite a lot of features and functions in there to use, but everything is very easily operated via the center console. We also got these 2 integrated cup holders, so I have the car key, as well as, and you also got this leather center-mounted armrest, so you got a little bit of storage there. And then we pull the whole lot up, you got this extra compartment located down here. You have a 12-volt power outlet, as well as this media plug-in that Audi and Volkswagen use sometimes. So I believe you get a lead with the car, and when you plug it in, I think there's usually something like an auxiliary jack or a USB plug at the end of the lead. Now, I've never really been a big fan of that. I wish Audi and Volkswagen would just put in a standard auxiliary and USB jack down there, instead of making it complicated with a lead. And then you got these S-Line sport seats. As I said, they're half leather, half Alcantara, and their Alcantara there is actually very, very soft and comfortable. You also got these manual adjusting leg rests as well. And you can also adjust the headrest too. There's a button for this one off on the other side, so you press that and you can slide the headrest forwards and backwards. You also have an auto-dimming interior mirror. So this car has quite a lot of standard equipment on it. It's not too bad. I do know that Audi offer quite a large options list. This one has 1 or 2 low extras on it, but overall it's a fairly standard S-Line model. And a bonnet release is located on the driver's side footwell. The engine is a 3-litre V6 TDI. It produces 201 brake horsepower with a top speed of 146 miles per hour. It also puts out 332 foot-pounds of torque, and I'd say this car can do about 48 miles to the gallon. Okay, so on the dual carriageway, put my foot down, and this car has plenty of power. It certainly gets up and goes. Now this particular 3-litre V6 TDI model, as I said, it's got 201 brake horsepower, so it's really the weakest diesel that you can get in this car. But I must say, out here on the open road, this 6-cylinder engine is very quiet. When you put your foot down, it's like a very silent burst of energy that you get. It doesn't have a loud rattly 4-cylinder up front like you get in some cars. It's just quiet and smooth and easy. It's really, really relaxing to drive. I of course have driven the Audi A8, the current generation, which has this very same engine and gearbox, and so this feels very familiar to me already. But the overall driving experience on the A7, well, as I said, when I was driving it yesterday, I found it to be very quiet and relaxing and just easy to live with. But now that I'm driving it for the second time, I'm very familiar with the car, I'm very familiar with all the controls, and I must say it's just a lovely cruising machine, really. That's what the likes of the A7 and the A8 and all those other kind of cars are for. And I even got my digital heads-up display on at the moment, and it's just really nice. And even these Alcantara seats are very comfy to sit in. It's just a very pleasant and nice, powerful car to drive. Now you can get this car obviously with more high-powered engines, but you know what, even this 201 horsepower model is sufficient enough. It will do the job just fine. One thing I will say is rear visibility in this car is just about okay. Now, as I said, it does have a long swooping kind of rear end, and the rear window follows that design. So the rear headrest I find can sometimes block visibility just a little bit. There's an Audi A4 behind me and I can just about make it out no problem. And other things I should talk about, I forgot to show this in the MMI system, but most Audis have it. It's the drive select. So if you go into it, you can select between having the car set up in dynamic mode, automatic mode, or comfort, and there's also a few preset settings for that as well. So you got efficiency, comfort, automatic, and dynamic. Then you have the final option, which is individual, and when you go into individual, you can set up the engine and transmission, the belt tensioners, and the steering between, you know, the comfort, dynamic, and automatic settings. So we're just going around this roundabout now. We're going to see what the power is like again when we come out the other end of the dual carriageway. The car doesn't really roll that much either. The seats hug you in nice and good. Alright, so let's try this once more. Oh yeah. Plenty of power. Excellent. Very, very good S-Tronic gearbox. I'm actually just going to put that screen away because I can't help but think it might be blocking the GoPro just a little bit. The 7-speed S-Tronic gearbox in this car is very nice, very smooth. Gear changes are very good as well. So far so good with the A7. I love it to drive. I think it's a very nice looking car. I really like the overall design of it. Okay, so out here in these back roads, I find that the ride quality is actually pretty good overall. The suspension, four-wheel independent, as I said earlier, does an excellent job at absorbing the bumps, and the electric steering is very nice as well. The car handles quite well. It feels kind of like a smaller A5 Coupe actually, rather than a very big, large humdrum saloon out here. It's very nimble, handles nicely. Yeah, it sticks into the bends very well, I find. Very, very comfy out in these roads. Alright, so heading back towards McGinley Motors. Well, all the positive stuff. I find that out the road it's a very pleasant car to drive out in the dual carriageway. It's very relaxing, it's very smooth, very comfortable. And out in the back roads it can handle itself quite good as well. It handles nicely, the suspension is excellent, it absorbs the bumps very well. So as far as driving goes, it's really, really nice. And I even like this electric power steering. It's very, very smooth. It's just the right amount of weight to it as well. It's not too heavy, it's not too light, it's just kind of in between perfect. Other things I like, I love the overall design of the A7. I like this Grand Coupe hatchback. Speaking of the hatchback, there is a load of room in the boot. It has 535 litres, I believe I said. So there's plenty of space back there. It's got an excellent amount of equipment. It's got a lovely interior. All the controls are very easy to use as well. Things I'm not a fan of, well, the rear seat in the back, as I was saying, the middle seat isn't that good. Nobody outside of a child seat really could sit back there in any decent comfort. Other things I don't like, I actually wish the rear windows would fold all the way into the doors. You know, it's just, why not? I mean, why not engineer the car or design it properly so that the windows fold all the way down instead of like just to here? That really isn't much good to anyone. And joking aside, I do wish every time I open the door when the car's powered on, it wouldn't make this loud, irritating beeping sound. It sounds like the car's having a panic attack. I really hate that every time I open the door. The other thing I actually should complain about, and the final thing, when I was pulling out of a junction earlier, I did notice that the B-pillar is quite thick. So when I was looking down the road to check for oncoming traffic, I found I had to look up quite a lot. So I just wish the B-pillar was a little more narrow, because it does obstruct visibility a little bit. But my overall impressions of the A7 are good. I will say though that brand new, an A7 like this, let's say off the showroom floor, is probably around 80 grand. This one will sell right now for maybe 41 or 42,000 euros, so they do depreciate quite a lot in value, which means if you want to get one in the second-hand market, you're probably going to get it for a very good price, especially maybe if you buy an ex-demonstrator model, for example, from an Audi dealer. And speaking of Audi dealers, actually, I think it was last year I was down at the Audi dealer in Sligo, and I was just having a little nosy around, checking out some of their cars, and I had what I think was one of the nicest A7s I ever seen. It was sitting in their showroom. It was an S-Line model. It had silver mirror caps, and it was finished in Sepang blue. One of my favorite colors. I think Sepang blue is definitely one of the nicest colors I've ever seen on an Audi, and it just looked fantastic on the A7. But overall, as I was saying, this is an excellent car. I really like it. I love driving it. I've always really admired the way the A7 looks. I'm just trying to concentrate on all this traffic here. I love the overall design. I love the drive. I love the standard equipment you get. I think there's an X amount of standard features in here. So guys, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you again in the next one.